Welcome to a special board meeting for the Richland School District Board of Directors to fill our vacancy on the board and do our candidate interviews. We have three of us here tonight. Jill Olson is excused, so we will be the three conducting the interviews, and we can go ahead and get started with the first candidate. Sure.
15 minutes. Someone time in the 15 minutes for us. Very good. Thanks. Okay.
Great.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for joining us and thank you for applying.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Glad to have you here. So we're going to run through a series of 4 questions,
Okay.
and you have them there in front of you so that you can read them as we go through.
Okay.
And we have a maximum of 15 minutes set aside for each interview. So if we run out of time, we'll just skip the 4th one. So
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, let's talk about timing first. Are you timing and giving a 5-minute warning, or you want me to?
No, I will give a 5-minute warning. I can talk to my candidates in there. 15 minutes.
All right. Thanks.
So I will start with the first question. We'd like to hear from you why you're applying to serve on the board, Richland School District Board of Directors, what skills you possess that you think will be a strength for our board.
Well, I see all the turmoil in politics and education and all the drama that's out there, and I feel a need to help support and bring steadfast, solid, clear, transparent, communication and energy, and maybe kind of try to calm down. I want to do something, and I think this is a good place for me to add to the community. I'm not really a political person. But I like to be able to help educate and coach and draw out like the people in the corner, the silent, the quiet, the majority. I like to be able to talk to them and try to get their opinions and insights. Sometimes those are the best ideas out there that you never hear. So I saw that there was a position open that you didn't have to run for, and I thought it was a great opportunity to try something new. The skills I possess, I went to college when I was older, going through a divorce with 2 children, got my engineering degree, had to work 2 jobs, all the stuff. So I know what resilience is, and I know what it looks like, and I know what it feels like, and I know the turmoil in the middle. And a lot of people don't know that the turmoil is just in the middle. The chaos is in the middle. And once you get through that or learn about it, you can get through it. And maybe it can help teachers and students and the community get through the turmoil to that finish line or that goal or that idea that they want to start, whatever they want to try. I've been a coach, so coaching comes naturally. I'm a supervisor at work. I was a union president, so I had to do all of the negotiations, had to listen to all of the concerns from the employees and try to communicate that to the management. And so I was stuck in between that, negotiating and talking and trying to get the the two to meet in the middle somewhere. So I think I have a lot of knowledge and experience with negotiations, good, bad, and different. A lot of experience there, and being an engineer, I know how to sort facts. It's a little hard to sort facts from fiction or stories or embellishment, and so getting down to the facts and trying to lead with facts and diminish the emotion a little bit to get through to the core of the problem and solve it from there, I think is a good strength to bring.
Thank you.
Okay, can you describe your ideal school, not an existing school? What is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing?
That's an interesting question. The ideal school. I grew up in New Mexico, so I know how those schools work. My kids raised them in Washington and Port Orchard on the west side, so I understand how those schools were functioning. The ideal school, high in the sky, right? Would work to the students' strengths, but also identify their weaknesses so they are more real, like they understand themselves first before they can go forward. And maybe it creates some empathy and strength internally so they can hear somebody else before they start judging. Learning a variety of things instead of a predetermined path. Maybe they think they want to be an engineer, but they're actually really good at mechanics. Maybe they're a really good chef, but they're really good at art too. So how do you do that? How do you mix that kind of thing? So the ideal school would take the individual student and their strengths and their needs and understand that before setting out a path for them, and then help with maybe some of their weaknesses. Maybe they don't understand empathy, or they're a little hypercritical of themselves, and they can take some time to understand that before they move forward. Not everybody needs to go all the way through college. Tech schools, or not even higher education for everybody is not the path. And take that into account too. What is your future goal? Is your goal because you don't think you can do it, or because you don't want to do it, or you can't do it? We always taught growing up that you could do anything you want, but I don't know if that's true. You can try anything you want, but maybe you hate it when you get there. So take those things into account before you set out a curriculum for each student.
All right. Question 3, what would you like to change in the school district, and what can the district improve on?
I would like to learn the strengths of the school district. My children didn't go here, so I don't know all the details of what's been going on. I hear what's on the news, and I don't know what's real, what's implied, what the real story is. So I would have to learn more about the school district. I'm kind of a blank book with that. So learning the school district, I read your like the goals and the vision and the mission statements and the student goals, and those are great starts. They are solid for all of the students, but how are they being implemented, and how are they being developed, and how are they being met? How are those goals being met? I honestly don't know. So that would be one of my weaknesses, is or it could be a strength. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the school district, so I can't come in and say, I would change this. I would want to learn and understand and develop relationships before I figured out what I would suggest to change. I guess I could use an example at work. I just changed jobs 2 years ago, from federal employment to private industry. And I walked into a new industry, new company, and I listened to the employees. What is the biggest problems? What do I need to look at first? What do we need to change or enhance? pay was the biggest problem there, so I worked to get the pay increase over the first few months, but I didn't go in and change any of the processes. But now that I've been there for 2 years, I'm like, okay, well, this process could be improved and changed and done differently. So I think it takes time and effort and knowledge and experience before you go in and just take a broom to everything. So
So other than really having to kind of wrap your head around the current school challenges, what are some other things that you think you might need help with as a new board member?
yeah, I would like to know more about each individual board members and their strengths and their focus and goals, so that we could work collaboratively towards some goals. The superintendent and the principals and the different schools, I'd like to know more about each of the different schools and their goals. And just what would be the expectation of the other board member? Like how does that board member support the other board members as a team and a group? And how do we support the students, the teachers, the families, the community? What's expected of us as a board member or board group?
Right. We don't have to
I'm-
take the whole time. So
I'm an
it's
engineer,
perfectly
so I'm
fine.
like
Yeah.
short and to the
Right.
point.
Awesome.
So,
So the way that this is going to go tonight,
Mm.
we're going to interview everybody, and then we're going to go back into an executive session to discuss before we come out to vote.
Mhm.
You are welcome to leave at this time if you'd like to. You're welcome to stay for the duration and for the end for the vote. And if you choose to leave, somebody will let you know the outcome.
okay, thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Right,
you.
Thank
I
you.
stood in there, I was torn, like I kind of want to hear everybody's answers, but kind of don't. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
opportunity, and good luck.
Yep.
Hey, welcome.
Hi, Dan. Want to thank you for applying for this position. It is community service in all its glory, I'd say. So really appreciate you being here tonight. We're going to ask you a series of 4 questions, and they're in front of you so that you can kind of read them as we go along. We have a maximum of 15 minutes per person that we're doing, and Ken will be keeping time for us, so he'll give us a 5-minute warning if we get to the end. If we run out of time, we don't have to get to all the questions, and if we don't need all the time, we don't have to use the
Can I
time.
just pick out my favorite then? We'll go 15 on one of them.
Sure.
Just kidding.
Absolutely. So, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. If you could tell us a little bit in your own words about why you're applying to serve on the Richland School Board of Directors and what skills you possess that you think will be a strength for our board.
Okay, well, that's a great question. I'll say, first of all, I am not applying because my wife wanted me to, because she was a little skeptical at first, just because time commitment, and there are many things that I do, volunteer my time at other places as well. But I've always been interested in the education of our kids, and also the space that the school district takes up within our community, and how it interacts with the community, how the community interacts with it, because to me, they're symbiotic, right? You can't have one without the other. And I think that's also kind of the strength that I have, is that I've been working with the community in other capacities, and working with the people out there. And I feel like I'm good at that, good with the other members of the community, listening to what they have to say, speaking to them, giving them kind of my viewpoints. And I think I'd be a good representative for them on the school board. Yeah, I've got just a wide range of interests. So with the school district, you think about the academics, obviously. It's been important to me in my life. It's been important for my kids. But also the extracurricular activities that the school district provides are important to me, because I'm always looking for my kids and for other kids that go to Richland School District, looking to be able to provide them a well-rounded experience, so that they are well-rounded individuals when they come out of the school district or come out of the schools. I'm interested too in how we prepare these kids to be productive members of the community when they're done. I think that the Tri-Cities is a tremendous place, and we have a lot of things going for us. One of which are some very nice employment opportunities with the National Lab here and such. And I think that we need to be looking to have some very homegrown talent that comes out of here. And I think that the school district plays a big role in making sure that we have that, right? Getting those kids interested in the sciences and engineering and stuff, and getting those nice jobs, and keep that a big part of the Tri-City atmosphere here.
Thank you. Okay, here's the fun one. Describe your ideal school, not an existing school. I mean, it could be an existing school somewhere, but anyway, what is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing in an ideal school?
An ideal school obviously has to provide all of the basics of education that we expect from all of our schools. The reading, math, science, social studies, history, all that type of stuff for the academics. And again, I'm going to lean back on what I said before about well-rounded students. So the ideal school has to have all of those offerings that allow those students to grow, not just academically, but as people, right? And part of that is interacting with their peers. Part of that is being part of, what other activities might interest them. It could be sports, could be music, could be drama, could be robotics. It could be a whole bunch of things. The ideal school can provide that for them. The ideal school also has to be an environment where the kids feel or are encouraged to be engaged at all times. Not one where they can kind of withdraw and just kind of go through the motions to get through their academic years there, but be part of it, right, and be engaged in that. That's what I'd like to see happening in all of our schools, and I think that most of, probably all of our teachers and such are focused like that at Richland School District, and I think that we attempt to make that type of an environment for the kids.
Thanks. What would you like to change in the school district, and what can the district improve on?
That's a good question. I go back to what I started with when talking about in that first question about how the school district is both part of the community, and it also serves the community. So when we look at what I like to see changed in the school district, I think some of the challenges that we face right now are that some of the students, some of the families are kind of disengaged from education, don't necessarily put the value on education that, those of us that are here, or a lot of the rest of us in the community do. And their kids probably are the ones that need it the most, and so what would I like to see changed within the school district? I'd like to see if there's any way that we could bring those families, those kids, get them engaged a little bit more and be more invested in their own future, through education. This is something I've looked up a little bit of stuff online about, thinking about, how do we get there, and what are the measures and stuff. I know one of your previous board meetings, you guys talked about graduation rates and all this, and in my application here, I talked about what's beyond that, beyond graduation. What are the goals for further education? Because I think K through 12 is a starting point, but it can't be the end, right? When you're done, when you graduate high school, that's not the end, right? You're what, 17, 18, 19 years old. You're just beginning. And I'd like to see what we can get our kids to go and get beyond. Now, one thing that I believe strongly is that when we talk about outcomes for kids and trying to get them there, is that outcomes are individual type things, right? So if we look at a graduation rate and we say, I don't know what it is here, but we say what's at 80%, but that's looking at it as a whole, right? What we need to track, we need to be able to track the individual all the way through. So if we have a kid that's there at 6th grade, it's not there at 7th grade, we need to know why. Where did they go? Right? Those are the individual type of outcomes. And then the ones that graduate, what do they do afterwards? We need to be able to track that. I know I looked up a little bit on the computer, before coming here, looking at that type of a thing, and the state does have some goals there, like 70%. They want to have some sort of secondary education after high school, right? Be it college or trade school or whatever. And I wondered to myself, how do we track that from a district standpoint? They had some things where if you click on it, you can see what does it do in Walla Walla, Benton, and Franklin counties. It doesn't tell me, it doesn't drive down enough to know what are our kids doing, what is our rate there, of what they do beyond school. So that's one thing that I'd like to see is when we're talking about the achievement of kids, graduation rates, those types of things, what are our goals? I'd like to be able to track individuals and know what was the individual outcome for those kids that started here in whatever grade they started here, whether they moved here in 4th grade or they started here in preschool. Where did they end up, when they left Richland School District, be it through graduation or through something else? Where did they end up at that point? So that's what I'd like to see, changed. And looking at the question here, I think that answers both parts of that question. What would I like to see, change a little bit in the district, and what can we improve on it? I think those, looking at it as individual outcomes for those kids, I think we could do a little bit better there and tracking to those goals.
What areas would you need the most help with as a new board member?
I think that if I was selected as the next board member, there would be a learning curve. There's just no doubt about it. There'd be a learning curve about the school district being in the budget problems that have occurred over the last couple of years, and still what the school district is trying to do financially. I've looked at some of the numbers that have been presented at the board meetings. I've looked at the charts and stuff, and I always have a few more questions, and I've looked on the website at the different budget things, and there's a lot that I'd need to have connected, right? It's tough to see, right? It's not something, looking through all the tables, looking through the charts, it's not something to see where those hurdles are. To try to get kind of out of the woods there, I need some help with that. Some of the procedural stuff I need a little bit of help with, right? I'm not a Robert's Rules expert, to know exactly how this thing works. I imagine that that there is a cheat sheet on that type of thing. So I need a little bit of help there. And I'm not familiar with everything that's going on in the school district. I know particularly things that my kids went through on their paths through Richland School District. But that's just one path, right? I am not real familiar with like River's Edge. I'm not real familiar with the Pacific Crest stuff. I know a lot of kids and families that are in the Home Link, but I don't have personal knowledge of the Home Link program because that's not what my kids have done. So those types of things are what I probably need the most help on. Just kind of connecting those dots, some of the background that I don't have through my experiences with the Richland School District, and I think that's pretty natural. But that's what I would expect. And then, of course, there's always the stuff that I don't even know that I don't know, right? So I'd need help with that.
So we don't have to take up the full time, and we're done with our questions here. You are welcome to stay.
Okay.
If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to go, because I know it's going to be a while. The process is we're going to get through all of them. We're going to go back into an executive session for a discussion of qualifications, and then we will come back out in the open public meeting to have a vote to choose the candidate. So you're welcome to stay all the way through to the bitter end of us doing that, or you're welcome to head home and watch it online, or somebody can let you know afterward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thanks, Dan.
Got the candy basket? Oh, it's okay. You know, sometimes I have that basket truck. Yeah. Sorry, I'm good. I can handle it. Hi.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for applying. This is
Amazing how many
community
applicants. you
service
got.
at its best. So we appreciate everybody not just taking the time, but their willingness to do this, because it is their job. We are going to run through a series of 4 questions, and you have them in front of you so you can read along as we go through. We have 15 minutes set aside for each one, maximum. We don't have to use all that time. And then when we're done, you're welcome to stay or welcome to go, whatever you would like. So I will kick us off with the first question. If you could tell us a little bit in your own words about why you're applying to the Richland School Board of Directors and what skills you possess that will be a strength for our board.
Thank you. I'm applying because I have a strong love for this district. I'm a 3rd generation from this area of Washington Public Schools. I was born here. My mother went to school up the road in Grandview. My sister and I both went to Jefferson and then Hanford, and my sister's kids went to Sacagawea and then Chief Joe and Hanford. My daughter went to Sacagawea and Chief Joe and Hanford. And my husband and I we lived in a small town, and when we moved here 10 years ago, I told him that we were going to move to the Richland School District so that my daughter could go to the Richland schools. And if he disagreed, he could explain that to the rest of my family. And he decided we should move to Richland. And I didn't talk about it a lot in my application because I feel like it's my daughter's story, but my daughter went all the way through Chief Joe and Hanford. She played viola in the orchestra. She did percussion in the marching band and varsity golf. And my husband and I helped, set up the pit, and we traveled to watch the games. And I once spent a whole night on a broken down bus full of orchestra kids. And daylight savings began at 2 a.m, and we were all on the bus together. But it was an amazing experience. And she had an amazing experience here in the Richland schools. So I feel a really strong vested interest in the continued success of the Richland School District. I have some skills that I think would be a strength for the board that I have gained through volunteer experience. So I have about 18 years of experience working with the American Chemical Society, which is a nonprofit. And the majority of my 18 years of experience has been overseeing budgets for the American Chemical Society. So budgets ranging between $50 million and $500 million a year. The majority of those budgets were dedicated to staff salaries and went back into infrastructure investments because, of course, it is a nonprofit. And during that time, we've been through a lot of financial downturns and organizational change. And I don't think I recognized it when I started volunteering. It just happened. But I have found through these experiences that it's really important to understand your key values and to understand things that have to be done versus things that you want to do. And then align your investments with your values and figure out how to measure success. And I feel like that could be a benefit to the board. I am concerned about the declines in state funding for education. I'm concerned about whether the state's current apportionment algorithm is appropriate, and of course, the enrollment trends in this school district in particular. And so I think that I could be helpful in helping the district ensure that it keeps that minimum fund balance and that it has financial success.
Okay, get to describe your ideal school.
Okay.
What is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing?
When my daughter was born, she was in a school district that had one high school. And when I moved here, I was amazed at the number of things that the Richland School District offers compared to the district we were in before. And when I was here, it was an amazing school. And Hanford was amazing. But when I went back and saw what was there now, when I saw the list of classes and the things that she could do, so for me, an ideal school is probably not a school, right? It is a school where kids can be who they're going to be and be successful at learning what they need to learn to go on to succeed after they graduate. For me, a lot of that is about having a variety of support systems for the kids, whether it's paraeducators or special education, having a variety of opportunities for the kids, whether it's vocational or AP classes or running START, and having teachers and parents who are involved in figuring out where kids fit to succeed in that system. So I think what's happening in the classrooms is everything, right? It's a lot of things. It is that vocational education. It is, integrating kids from special education into the regular classroom. It is kids who are taking college courses because they are motivated to do that. So for me, the ideal school might not be at one school. It might be hard to have all of that happening at one school. But I think that's one of the things that's absolutely beautiful about the district here.
Thanks. Next question. What would you like to change in the school district and what can the district improve on?
So I've been listening to your meetings and I've been taking notes on your meetings. And so I have a couple of things in that. One of the things that I have noted, and I have also observed it, is discipline policies. I think they're hard, right? Discipline policies are genuinely hard, but they're so important. My daughter, we tease her and tell her she's a genetic rule follower because when she was in elementary school, I knew which kids had broken the rules before their parents did, right? I would pick her up and she would give me the list who got in trouble that day. And so for her, it was really important that there be some discipline in the classroom so that she could focus and she could learn. So it's important for the kids who are distracted when discipline policies aren't clear. And it's also really important that we teach children how to meet expectations for behavior. One of the things, I've managed a lot of people over the years, and it's amazing to me. I grew up in a pretty strict household, and I didn't necessarily realize that until I started seeing what other people were raised with. And to me, we really need to just make sure that we're raising kids to understand that there's expectations. There's expectations that you be on time for things. There's expectations that you work in teams and you get along with others. And that there are consequences if you don't do that, because when they get into the workforce, there will be consequences, and those consequences will be much more serious in terms of their lives. So I understand that you are looking at alignment of that policy with what the state is doing and potentially pushing it a little bit more towards the more, I guess I would say, conservative side of what can be done, although maybe that's the more liberal side of what can be done. So pushing it as far as it can go. And I do believe that that's important in setting students up for success. And then with the rest of the school district, honestly, I feel like there's a lot that's right about the school district. And so making sure that you can maintain the variety of classes, even if we experience financial downturns, making sure that students have the opportunity to learn what they want to learn that will help them succeed after, and making sure that we can do that um, in what I think may be a challenging financial environment without entering into kind of binding conditions or anything like that. Like making sure we stay away from undue amounts of oversight from the state, for me, is something that I think you're doing a fantastic job of doing right now, but that can always be improved on.
So the last question is, what areas do you think you'll need the most help with? You were the board.
I think the learning curve will be amazing for me. I have done some digging into WASDA and the policies across the state. It's amazing to me how much is out there. It's fantastic how much support there is for school board directors in Washington state. But when I was looking through that, I thought, boy, oh, there's another really interesting policy that I would love to know more about, that I would love to go read. And so for me, I think it's coming up to speed. The amount of experience that you have in your little finger, I think, is amazing. So you probably know all these things, but I would be coming in knowing very little. And so for me, it really would be the coming up to speed, both on what exists in Washington and what our policies look like. And also, I have familiarity with one set of schools. My daughter and I actually graduated from the same high school, right? So I have a lot of experience with one high school, but I have less experience with the breadth of what we are offering across the district. And so for me, I think it would be a steep learning curve to become familiar with all of that.
I will mention that the person who is selected, there is actually a WASDA conference.
That
You may have seen.
excited.
And the district has a spot reserved for the new board member if they were able to go. There's a great boot camp, which is like a really great experience.
Dr.
So-
Redinger told us about that, and I was very excited about the possibility of boot camp. So thank
we'll
you.
be
Like drinking from a fire hose.
I bet it is.
We'll be sharing that
I
with
bet it's exhausting.
the candidates who were chosen. So just want to thank you again for coming today.
you.
You are welcome to stay for the duration if you'd like. The way this will go is we will run through all of the interviews, and then we will recess into executive session to talk about the qualifications of the group.
Okay.
And then we will come back out in the open public meeting to have the vote. So you're welcome to stay to the bitter end, or you're welcome to go and watch it online, or somebody would reach out to you afterwards to let you know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for all you do.
Thanks, Kristen.
Alexis.
Hi, welcome. Want to start by thanking you for applying, and applying is your willingness to serve, which we do greatly appreciate, your willingness to do that. The way this is going to go is we're going to ask a series of 4 questions, which are in front of you, so you can read them and follow along. We have a maximum of 15 minutes set aside for each interview, and Ken will keep time and give us a 5-minute warning if we start to get close to the end. We don't have to take the full time, but if we don't have to get through all of the questions either. And so with that, I will kick us off on the first question. If you could tell us in your own words why you are applying to serve on the Richland School Board of Directors and what skills you possess that would be a strength for our board.
Sure. The reason I applied was because there's just been a lot of controversy over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years about school boards. And I felt qualified as a former teacher slash probably go back into teaching someday. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys had applicants that I think would be worthwhile for you. So that being said, the skills that I possess, I've worked in schools in different school districts. I have not worked in the Richland School District, but I've worked in Pasco, in OMAC, worked overseas in Qatar. Right now I'm working at Sagebrush Montessori Elementary as an assistant. So I know a lot about education, and I have a daughter who's 5, and she's not in the public school system yet, but it was always my intention to have her go. I just sort of fell in love with Montessori. So we're kind of going that route at the moment, but I love Hanford High. I have family that grew up in Richland. I grew up in Benton City, and you know, it's important to me that she is going to be coming into the district, and that I can, you know, be part of that for her, which didn't really go into the skills, but that's
Thank you.
Okay, describe your ideal school. What is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing?
sure. My ideal school, kids are excited to go, and they couldn't necessarily tell you exactly like a fact off the top of their head, but they love to learn. So they are excited to see the other kids. They're excited about their teacher. They're excited to expand their knowledge. They have the ability to get work done without distractions and problems. And that would be part of the community of the classroom and the support of their teacher. Ideally, there are parent volunteers that can be in there when they want to be and when they're needed. The students are able to challenge themselves and also work independently as well as in a group. What I tried to do as a teacher was that, and working in Montessori, it's very, very different, and it's really, really cool. So I'm always like, how can you blend them? Because it's not, it wouldn't be an easy thing to just take a kid and stick them in Montessori, but it's a really cool system. So like, I would ideally see more of that style, but that's complicated.
Thanks. What would you like to change in the school district and what can the district improve on?
I feel like my child is not in the district yet. I live in the city, so it's just based on what I hear. I can't say from my experience what should be changed and what should be improved. But what I hear from other parents is people feel that there's an imbalance South Richland versus North Richland with funding and that kind of thing. There's, some schools have better reputations than others, and whether that's fair or not is, not my judgment. So I'm not sure exactly what should be improved on, but I would probably say, and this is super hard, but communicating with the parents and the community, and really making sure that people know what actually is going on, because I hear from my friends who are teachers, parents are mad about this, but they don't actually understand it because they don't have the full view. They don't have all the information, and not that the information's not available. It's just that for them, maybe getting the access is not the most straightforward, or they're busy and they haven't taken the time to figure it out because of other things. So probably communication and getting families more in tune with what is going on.
All right, thank you.
So our last question is, what areas will you need the most help with as a new board member?
Probably just knowing what I would need to do. And I think it is a big time commitment. I have a 5-year-old, so, and a job. That being said, I do want to say that when I saw the field of applicants and met everybody, that you guys picked amazing people, and I'm honored to be in the pool, but I know everybody is amazingly qualified. And I was like, I don't even know if I need to go to the interview, because now that I know that who you guys have to pick from, I don't feel like as like I have to be here, because you guys have such a good choice. So will not hurt my feelings if you pick one of these guys, because they're awesome.
Thank you. I completely agree. We have been so overwhelmed with the great quality of all the candidates that we had. It was hard for us to get down to just the 7. So
Definitely, I could see that.
that's great.
And it's going to be hard to pick from them.
So you are welcome to take off. You're welcome to stay and join us here in the audience if you'd like to. The way this is going to go is we'll finish each of the interviews in the 15-minute time, and then we will recess into executive session to discuss the qualifications of the candidates. And then we will come back out in the open public meeting to vote to select the candidate. So you're welcome to stay to the very end, or you're welcome to go and watch it from Zoom, or somebody can let you know afterward.
Gotcha. Thank you so
Great.
much for letting me
Yes.
have this experience.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, there you go. Jeopardy music.
Hi, welcome.
Well, you can,
You're
sure.
welcome to. Yeah. Great. Nice to meet you. Great. Awesome. Yeah. Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for applying. This
Yeah.
is a huge commitment and community service, so we appreciate everybody's willingness to be able to take this on. The way this is going to go is we'll run through a series of 4 questions, which are all in front of you, so you can read along as we go.
Okay.
Ken will keep time, so if we run out of time, he will let us know that we're getting close, but we don't have to fill the whole time. So we will run through the questions, and if we finish early, that's fine too. Awesome.
Before we start, the sun is like right. Can I just scoot this table a tiny bit?
Can you pull that screen down
Does the screen go down?
from the
This,
top there? Yeah.
does it cover the door? It's fine. If I just scoot back a little bit, it's fine now.
Okay.
It was just like right. Okay.
So I will start us off with the first question. If you could tell us in your own words why you're applying to serve on the Richland School Board of Directors, what skills do you possess that you think will be a strength for our board?
So I guess the reason why I'm applying is because I'm have children who are still involved in the school. I have a seventh grader at Carmichael and a freshman at Richland High. And I have three who have graduated from the school district, and I love the school district. I actually developed an interest in applying when my oldest was in third grade, and he's now 24. But then I ended up having like two more kids, and I was like, okay, I just need to find the perfect time. And I would say about 5 years ago might have became a perfect time for me, but it wasn't. I didn't like what was going on in the things, and so I feel like now is the perfect time for me to apply. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what skills do you possess that you think would be a strength for the board?
skills. I think I'm a good people person. I like to get out to know the public. I feel like I've always been involved in the kids' schools. I I like the teachers. I would think that that's important to keep that involvement with them and getting to know the students better. So just being a people person.
Thank you.
Okay. Describe your ideal school. What is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing?
Mm. Ideal school. Um, I, I, I I think of an like ideal school is where everyone can just be learning at wherever level they are. Um, so everyone can feel success, where teachers can take a child wherever they are and help them to grow and to learn. That's an ideal school. And that's the most important part is just that ability to learn in school. So they're safe there and they are physically safe, emotionally safe, mentally safe, and and they can excel in school.
Thanks.
I could be
Um,
the fastest interviewee. I don't know. Okay.
Question 3 is, what would you like to change in the school district and what can the district improve on?
I don't really think I'm applying to make changes. I'm just applying. I don't think I know enough to say I want to make all of these changes. I want to be on the school board to have the opportunity to collaborate with you guys, to learn from you guys, to work together, to um, learn from these guys, learn from the teachers, learn from the students what they need. I know what my children need, I know what their friends need, but that's a small portion of the community. I need to know what others need. So I want to take the time to be in the schools, and I appreciate those on boards in the past who have helped. Like I had a friend who moved here. Her husband was attending Washington State University graduate program. He spoke English and Portuguese. She just spoke Portuguese. She had a daughter in kindergarten. And for some reason, the daughter was just going to school like half a day because they didn't have support at the school. And she didn't know how to talk to somebody. So I was able to help her go to a school board member. And the school board was able to work with the administration at that school and we were able to get her the help she needed. I just think it's important to be able to make those individual changes that individuals need, not necessarily big changes. Is that okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what areas do you think you would need the most help with if you were selected as a board member?
Well, I would need, for me personally, I would need to just take my personal time to like visit schools, get to know what the teachers need, get to know what the students need, um, learn my role. I guess I would need to learn my role. That's the biggest thing I would need to do is learn my role as a school board person, and then it's up to me to give it my all. To I don't know.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. Thanks for taking the time.
You bet.
I have a little bit of time. I don't think I have anything to say. So can I leave with a closing remark? I just
You
appreciate
can, yeah.
you guys and taking the time to interview me and to interview each of us. I've enjoyed the time visiting with them, and I think you have a lot of good candidates to choose from. So just choose the best person because we have a lot of great people here. So thank you.
Yeah, there certainly are. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like to.
I think
You're
I decided staying,
you're welcome to.
but everyone left. So
take
I
off
think I
and-
might like but it's relaxing. in
Yeah,
there, so
okay.
maybe that's why they're staying.
Great.
Thank you.
So the way this is going to go is when we're all done, we're going to go into an executive session to discuss qualifications of the candidates, and then we'll come back out in the open meeting to vote and select the member. So you're welcome to stay to the end, or you're welcome to go at any time, and somebody will let you know the outcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
I'm trying to decide which is. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Beloved. Great to see you.
Jessica's also beloved. She's my favorite.
Amazing teacher.
Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for applying. All of the candidates, we're just very grateful that they're willing to serve, because this is a community service, and does take quite a bit of time, as I'm sure you know. So the way this is going to go is we're going to ask you a series of 4 questions, and they're in front of you for you to read along as we ask them. We have 15 minutes set aside maximum for each interview. We can take the whole time, or we can end early. That doesn't matter. And Ken will keep time for us, and he will let us know if we're starting to get close to the end. So great.
Thank you.
I will start us off and ask you in your own words to describe for us why you're applying to serve on the Richland School Board of Directors and what skills you possess that would be a strength for our board.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interview. I am one of the reasons I applied was that I looked at the questions that you were asking. on the application. And first off, I realized those were things that really needed to be asked, and I wanted this opportunity to share. So I've been encouraged by colleagues and friends, having been with the district for many years and finally mastered the art of retiring from teaching last spring. I thought, well, all right, here's another opportunity to take a lot of experience, a lot of background in this profession and in this district, and give something back. The Richland School District has given me so much over all these years. So it's as a service. It's trying to provide my talents to the district, and what skills do I possess? I am a systems thinker. I'm a big picture thinker. I'm a very good listener. And I love public education. I love the school district. I have a lot of experience with and kind of deep knowledge about the programs and the people. That could be a liability. I get that, because the board has to, by its very nature, is at a 4,000-foot level that it needs to be. So I need to keep reminding myself that this is a very different role from being an educator in the district. But I think that my relationships and my understanding of public education in general, and Richland in particular, will be strengths for the board.
Thank you. Okay, describe your ideal school. What is happening in the classrooms and what are the students doing?
In my ideal school, a lot of my experience is from high school. So this is going to be an ideal high school. In the ideal high school, and some of this will be based off my experience at Delta, because I was a part of developing that school. It is not highly departmentalized. It is much more like a Hogwarts in terms of more like houses, where students, it's a fairly large school, by the way. So maybe not as big as one of our comprehensives, but somewhere, let's just say there's about 800 or 900 students there. These houses try to capture the students' interests. And while there's a strong core program, the elective programs are geared to that school, whether it's more along business vocational or the arts or the sciences. There is a lot of project-based learning. The assessment system is standards referenced. And in those classrooms, there is technology, but the technology is a tool for the students. It is not a distraction. It starts off with, in the classroom, there's a clear sense of the learning target, which it's not like it's just posted there for someone to go, oh, nice. No, it's something where you walk in there, the kids just say, what are you working on today? Well, what we're trying to achieve today is the kids can tell you what their targets are. And they can tell you not only what their targets are, but how they are approaching it and what it means in terms of their learning. They have a great deal of agency around their learning, options, opportunities to adapt the learning to their learning needs, different ways that they can demonstrate their learning. They're collaborative, they're loud, they're gracious, they're kind. Their teacher is facilitating, spends very little time as the sage on the stage. That's my ideal school. Oh, I should mention the administration. The administration is supportive. They are in the classrooms constantly. and they are the educational leaders of the building.
All right. Thank you. What would you like to change in the school district, and what can the district improve on?
Hmm. I think I don't know how. I know what I'd like to see different. I don't know how plausible it is. I would love to have building administrators have more opportunity to be the educational leaders in their building as opposed to so much the disciplinarians and the managers. I think that while the district has a powerful, amazing strategic plan, mission, and vision, I think that particularly if our building administrators had more time and energy where they could devote to translating that into their buildings so that that becomes a lived mission and vision for the buildings. It's like all the pieces are there, but it's just it's so complex. It's such a, I mean, just the education system is complex. But to me, it's the building administration who could use the most support right now to translate that mission and vision and to help the work of teachers. That's what I guess what I'd change in terms of improvement. And this one I think is fairly practical. I think we're maybe at a point, and it's partly to do with some of our resource restrictions, but I think we're at a point where we maybe want to connect with the teachers and say, okay, look at your curriculum. Look at the resources you've been provided. Look at the standards. Now let's do an inventory of what you're actually using that the district has provided for you and what aren't you using. What are the most valuable pieces that have come out of all these different adoptions? And you're not going to get a single consensus, but I think it might give our teaching and learning departments some feedback about what is it that is most useful in the everyday classroom. Now I realize there are great committees that are putting together, you know, there's also great textbook salespeople out there. And it's like, you find this one amazing piece in the curriculum that you, and then there's all these other whistles and bells. And I don't know if there's a way to help teachers have some input to, okay, this is what is the essentials that I need for my teaching. Because it's almost at times that you have 82 million things that you could use, and seems like there's no time to actually sift it down and turn it into your practice. So that would maybe be the improvement, something around professional development, an inventory of what we're using for instruction, and a mechanism for teachers to be better equipped to pick and choose all the wonderful things that we have.
Last question. What areas will you need the most help with as a new board member?
I would definitely need the mentorship of the board members in terms of, and it's one of you said this to me at one point, it's that notion that you have conversations that are public conversations that are not just about you sharing your ideas. Part of the back of that is you need to bring the public up to speed to your understanding of the situation. So when you ask questions either of the presenter or you're talking with one another, it's not that you don't know or don't understand per se, but part of it is surfacing what the other misunderstandings would be, which is just fabulous teaching. So maybe that's how I'd have to look at how to translate a lot of teaching into quality boardsmanship. And obviously, as I said, the liability of having so much time on the instructional end of it, popping up more to my systems thinking as opposed to the minutia, not to micromanage. So I would be looking forward to the opportunities for the training and the mentorship of the experienced board members and learning to have those conversations in public.
Great. Thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time with us today. The way this is going to go is we're going to finish our interviews and then we will recess into executive session to discuss the qualifications of all the candidates. And then we will come back to have in our open public meeting to have a discussion and to vote and select the candidate. You are welcome to stay and join us here in the audience. You are welcome to take off and go home, and somebody can let you know later if you choose to do that. But again, just really appreciate your time today, and look forward to seeing you and talking to you again sometime soon, regardless.
And just so you know, in case it's, goes into the calculus of your decision, I really saw this as an interim opportunity to be supportive and serve the district. I do not foresee following this up with a campaign to stay on the board. I mean,
I didn't either.
oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking about you in your comment the other night. So this is the current plan.
Right.
I mean, I'm still younger than apparently is the age to run for president in this country, but I'm getting close. Okay, so thank you
Great.
all
Yep.
so much.
Thank you,
very
Linda.
much.
Fix our symmetry now.
I have a window in my home office that's like that. It's like high. And there's one time a day. At this time of year.
Right. All those things. Some of it's good.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Didn't expect to be sitting at a table. I thought the big podium would be here. How about that?
We all wanted to be sitting and not up on the big stage tonight. Well, thank you for coming and thank you for applying. We recognize the big commitment everyone makes in applying for this position and the community service that is involved. So we appreciate that. The way this is going to go is we're going to set aside 15 minutes and Ken will keep time for us to let us know if we get close to time. We don't have to use the whole time, but we have the full 15 minutes to address the 4 questions that we have. The questions are in front of you, so you can read along as we ask them.
Okay.
And I will kick us off.
Okay.
So if you could tell us in your own words why you are applying to serve on the Richland School Board of Directors and what skills you possess that will be a strength for the board.
I'm going to give just a little bit of my background first. I'm currently a Hanford employee. I work as what's known as a buyer's technical representative, which means that I'm the person that follows the contract. I write the statements of work, and then I hold the contractors and their invoices to what we've purchased from them or what service they're supposed to be doing for us, and only that service. I spend a lot of time going through invoices and all of that jazz that goes with that. Prior to being a BTR, I was a certified residential appraiser, self-employed for about 20 years. And the training for that position mostly came from working for the Pacific County Assessor's Office in Southwest Washington, where I talk to community members all the time, had to promote levies, learn about levies, understand how levies work and how they're affected by tax assessed values, whether they're going up or down, how new construction affects all of that, how a change in a library or a hospital district might affect the overall budget, but how it doesn't affect, you know, all the pieces of the pie and how they come together, and why somebody that lives directly across the street may be paying a different levy rate than you are, which is always a contentious one because neighbors do stand at the mailbox and compare values. So I have a really fluent understanding of levies and how it works and why, and how to explain it to people in ways that they can understand. So most importantly, I'm a mom of 4. My 2 oldest kids are both engineers and have graduated from college and are working in their respective fields. My 3rd child is in a technical field and about to start technical training. And my youngest is a special education student. We came to Richland when he was a 4th grader, and he had always had a paraeducator before that point. Richland School District said, trust us, and we're removing your paraeducator, which is a pretty scary thing for a parent with a special ed child. And my child has thrived in the Richland School District beyond all measure from day one. It was a huge change coming from the tiny little district where we were to Richland School District, but he is 21. He is part of your community-based transition center. He is employed in the community, and he has applied to WSU Aurora program for next year and is about to live independently. That's in large part because of the Richland School District and what you provided him. I'm not going to say it was easy. I've learned as a parent to advocate, and I'd love to be able to give opportunities to other parents to advocate for their children, advocate for the staffing that you have that's fabulous because you have the best special educators I've ever known. My child still stays in touch with some of them. They weren't teachers for a year, they were teachers for a lifetime. And I can't begin to tell you the impact that Richland School District has had on my family.
Thank you.
Okay, describe your ideal school. What is happening in the classrooms and what are students doing?
Oh boy. Students are engaged. They're happy to be there. They feel valued. They feel like they can speak up and be respected by both their teacher and their classmates. In the elementary grades, I think it's particularly important at that level, obviously older too, but I want to see an established a love to learn. I think that's sometimes more important than what they're learning, is that they're loving the process of learning, opening their minds, being engaged, being excited to be there every single day and feeling safe. At the upper levels, I want to see same thing, that engagement, that love of learning, that excitement for learning. But sometimes I think we get obsessed with the subject we're trying to teach rather than how to learn it, how to find that information, how to do the critical thinking and where to look for it. But mostly my ideal school is all about that love of learning, that engagement, opening minds, providing opportunities and different ways to think, and just let's open minds. Let's get kids out there and let them learn. Let them learn to love to learn.
Yeah, thank you. So number 3, what would you like to change in the school district and what can the district improve on?
What would I like to change in the school district? I would like to see every child come to school ready to learn. And that's something we don't necessarily have control over. We do have kids with differing backgrounds, different income levels. So those are things outside of our control, but I'd like to make sure that once they're there, every student gets the same opportunity. And sometimes that means providing accommodations or food programs are important, making sure that, I think it was mentioned at the last board member or meeting about how you guys have really pushed the forms this year to get everybody that is has access to free and reduced lunch. That's super important. Let's make sure that the kids that are entitled to that receive it. Let's make sure that kids that need the extra help here or there are getting it so that we can catch them up. As far as what the district can improve on, I think the Richland School District is really fortunate at this time. Your facilities are primarily in really good shape. We've got a lot of new schools. I'm sure that from a maintenance standpoint, if I was to talk to a maintenance person, he could say, well, this is leaky here, this heating system isn't working as well. But as a citizen driving by, our buildings are in fantastic shape. We have a really great staff. I'm sure once again, there are probably teachers out there that aren't overly loved or whatever, for whatever reason. But as a whole, as a citizen, I think your staff is fantastic. So let's focus on, I'd like to see the bullying get better. I think we still have more bullying than what is acceptable. I think it's part of why the student count has dropped this year. I think we need to turn that around. I have some ideas on how to do that. I think it's going to involve some data collection. But I think that one's really important. Kids need to feel safe at school. Parents need to feel like their kids are safe at school. And let's do what it takes to get that one stopped. The other thing, again, would be let's equal the economic disparity where we can. The world is what it is, but I think we have to keep working towards that. And the other thing is teachers age out, retire, move away, whatever. I just want to make sure we keep getting good staff here, good teachers, and keep the ones we have whenever we can.
Last question. What areas will you need the most help with as a new board member?
Probably patience. I am not very familiar with your budgeting system and where I know the district has made improvements. You made some cuts last year. I can look at the available funds in your budget right now and I can see that number, but I don't have the strength. And I think that's a really big part of a board member's job, is not to micromanage the superintendent or the principals or anything else. I don't want to do that, but I think governance is important. Financial governance is important. We need to make sure that we're taking care of the taxpayers' money so that it's available for future students as well as our present students. So, the finance thing is a little bit overwhelming to me at the moment. So that would definitely be a weak point at the moment.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So the way this is going to go is we're going to recess now and discuss the qualifications of the candidates, and then we will come back out to have a vote in an open public meeting. You're welcome to stay, or you're welcome to take off if you'd like to as well, and somebody can let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Executive session. Do we have to give a time? So we will tentatively come back at 6:30, and if we need more time, I will come out and extend it. Thank you.
Done.
Are we live yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I think. Welcome back. We have many of our candidates who stayed to the end. So again, we really appreciate all of you being here. We appreciate your applications, your commitment to the district, and taking the time tonight to interview with us. I will start by saying that we, as a board, were super impressed that we got 19 applicants for this position. Encourage all of you, since we can choose only one, to think about, if this happens again, putting your name back in, because this is a really hard decision for us to even come down to 7. Even harder to come down to 1 or 2 to think about as the top candidates and choosing between them. So again, just really appreciate the whole community's effort behind this, and all of you who applied and came tonight to interview. I'll open for discussion.
Sure. I'd be honored to serve with any of you. The passion that I saw in the love of the district and wanting to help the district was evident in all of the interviews. When I looked through these and when we discussed, we were looking, I especially was looking for things that will complement the board in areas where we don't already have some strengths. We need some more help. And all of you fit different roles that way. Everything from being previous board members to good at sports, which I'm not. I think Bonnie might be.
Not good at sports. I'm good being a sports mom.
All right. I'm not a good sports mom either. I'm a good band dad, good orchestra dad.
I was a good drama mom too.
But I love the plays. So the other thing I wanted to say a little bit along the lines of what Katrina talked about is I'm not planning on running again. I have some years left, but please consider running. Any of you I would support running. You're all here for the right reasons. I was listening for hidden agendas, or in the writing and in the research that we all do when you're looking at people. I don't see any hidden agendas other than wanting what's best for the kids and the district and the staff and the community. So running a campaign's a little bit different than this, but you're going to learn a lot, the good and the bad of some of that.
I think you guys said everything I was going to say. Except for that, I did briefly consider, like, maybe I should step down so one of you can take my spot, but I can't do that, so I won't do that.
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way, Rick told me.
I mean,
Also, I'm not even elected yet, so there's that.
yet, just yet, yes. I mean, I think, as Rick said, the complementarity of skills and perspectives that all of you brought really made this very hard. Many of us were looking for somebody who still has a child in the district, because that was a role that Chelsea filled that is different than the 4 of us who are currently up here. And that narrowed down some of our pool, but we also saw, like Rick said, previous board members, experience with special education and dealing with those challenges, the union, the teaching experience that is brought, and the perpetual student volunteer managing budgets, and a lot of the things that we deal with and work with the district a lot in trying to figure out where the money comes from, how it's spent, and being good stewards of taxpayer money. All of you have all of that, as well as the intense passion for the district, which again, we can't necessarily always find people who have that level of passion, and that is what it takes for the commitment, the time commitment, the resilience, the patience, that you mentioned. You need a lot of patience, for sure, um, in in doing this. It is a great job, thankless job, but a great job and a great group of people to work with Dr. Redinger and her cabinet and all the staff in the district. So, like Rick said, I would be honored to serve with all of you. And regardless of who we would choose, I encourage any of you who are not selected to sign up again next time, sign up to run. As he said, he doesn't plan to run in the next round. Jill doesn't plan to run in the next round. We have no idea what personal circumstances may change the perspectives of the rest of us. So I'm just so grateful to have so many members of our community who are willing to step up and do this and to do it for the right reasons. So thank you all so much for that.
You all have my gratitude. This is, some of you may have seen what board meetings were like during COVID, and you still signed up anyway. So. Would you like a motion?
I would like a motion.
So I'd like to move Mr. Dan Evans for Chelsea's vacant position.
I'll second that.
Any
Discussion?
further discussion?
I think he brings a lot. You bring all kinds of things I personally don't have, and will represent groups that aren't quite represented as well as they should be right now on the board. And saw your passion, like all of your passion. And I would also say, I want you to run. If you're going to invest 2 years, it takes a year or two to get on your feet as a board member. I think I saw that in your discussion. So, and this, by the way, was a very difficult decision. So, those of you who weren't chosen will probably thank me in a month or two when you step back and think about it.
I would only add to that, again, and just seeing some of the other feedback that we received, a few emails about you, Dan, from friends of yours, people who spoke to your willingness to volunteer and serve in events and things where your kids are not involved. That is what this kind of a role takes, because we're not doing it for ourselves. We're not doing this for our own kids. And that really is what it takes, is the commitment and the willingness to be the community service and volunteer. Again, for any of you would be a wonderful compliment. Coming to this decision is so hard. You have no idea how hard this is for us. But for Dan, I think we would be really honored to serve with you on the board. So we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And again, thank you all.
Mhm.
This is
So, so where we'll go from here, next week, Tuesday, is our next board meeting, and you will be sworn in on the board that evening. Nancy is the queen and keeper of the calendars and everything. And Ken and our staff will work to get you signed up with all of the district credentials and IDs and all of that stuff. There's some paperwork for you to sign for the county, and that sort of thing, and getting the cadence. As I mentioned earlier, the Washington State School Directors Association Conference is the third week of November, and the district has a seat already registered for the incoming board member to attend. Typically on the opening day on Thursday, there is a board boot camp that morning, which is like a 4 to 5 hour session to teach you everything you need to know as a new board member. It is drinking from a fire hose for sure. All the Open Public Meeting Act training, that they offer there, but it's a really great deep dive into what it means to be a school director, which I knew very little about when I got started 2 years ago. So if you're available to attend, we would love to have you travel with us, and the district will cover your travel costs for that.
It's really important that we didn't have that when I started, and it would have been very beneficial. So that training is really well done.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I just would say that there are even for those of you who don't have kids in the district anymore, there are probably a lot of ways that we can use your input and help and service in our community, as far as just like your love for the district, your passion, and your expertise in various areas that we can use to help us in dealing with the community and helping our district be more open and accessible and successful in all the things that we have coming up. So don't hide. Stay involved.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, great. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.